We've talked in the past about DVDs and that.
Okay, welcome back, folks. Side view of this power supply rebuild here at tvrepairorlando.org. Fortunately, this is the best view we can possibly give you guys at this moment of this rebuild. Okay, shine some light. The paste is already on there, so that's the great part. So now we just gotta suck this thing up. The main thing too about this type of power supply, it's a high voltage power supply, so you need a lot of heat to remove this. If you just get like a regular standard, soldering iron, for example, your regular soldering iron from, you know, uh, Radio Shack or whatever. These soldering irons, these type of soldering irons wouldn't help you out at all in removing the silver solder off of this board. Um, these joints here are done by a specific solder. It's called silver solder, and we have that here. It's right here on the spool. That's silver solder. This is regular solder. But the iron as well, it's pretty decent iron. I can get up to 480 degrees Celsius with this iron. The tip is pretty clean too. That's the main thing when you're working at this type of high pressure temperature. You want to make sure this tip is really, really clean. For this iron, it's perfect iron for this type of job because it gets extremely hot. 470 degrees. I try to put it there. I think 480 would be a little too hot, so I have to keep it at 470. So the iron tip is clean and ready. All right, we're gonna set this camera down. Side view. Welcome viewers. Anyone that joined into this live broadcast from TV Repair Orlando. Today we're showing the removal of the power supply of the transformer, and we're hopping right to it. All right, get rid of this cheapo. We don't need that. Squeeze that out. Now we're gonna try and make this thing get this thing really hot so we can get the solder off of here. The good thing about this paste is it heats it up really good. You'll be able to suck it right up. I mean, it's awesome. Here real soon we're going to make a pump. We're going to make a high suction pump that will be able to suck this solder right out. And of course we'll show you guys exactly how we're going to do that. The type of service that you get here at tvrepairorlando.org. It's service, we're highly skilled at things we do. Do not try this at home if you don't have the right equipment and if you don't know what you're doing. You're gonna mess up your board, and then you'll end up having to buy a whole new board again.
Historical information, and we built those in the winter. Now that the Guild's award season has come through, we've seen Argo take a number of those key awards, and that's really pushed them ahead of Lincoln, in addition to the betting markets, which really have pushed Argo ahead as well.
So part of the reason Argo wasn't a favorite initially is because Ben Affleck was snubbed for the Best Director award. He is not in that category. If Argo wins Best Picture, who wins Best Director?
Well, it's a great point. We definitely have Steven Spielberg from Lincoln, far and away the leader, as our model dictates.
And why is that?
Well, I think his previous nomination and wins are key to that victory, as well as the total nominations that Lincoln has. They racked up 12 this year, which is the most of any film.
So what goes into these numbers, Michael? How accurate are they?
It's a complex process. As I mentioned, we have historical data, which includes decades of information about the movie industry, as well as the Academy Awards. And then we layer into that information about the wisdom of the crowd, so Rotten Tomatoes and betting markets, as I mentioned. And then finally, we have these Guild Award wins and nominees. And, all that together gets us to what we think is a really accurate forecast.
Okay, so what about Best Actress? Originally, it was a race between Jennifer Lawrence from Silver Linings Playbook and Jessica Chastain for Zero Dark 30. You've got Lawrence in the lead now.
Yeah, she's been in the lead from the beginning. She's been strong throughout the award season, strong in the betting markets, and, we feel really good about that prediction.
And Best Actress,
As you guys can see, this is silver solder,
any chance of an upset?
and I'm moving along pretty good. The
couldn't
solder is
say
coming
confidently,
right off.
So no doubt he's got it.
That is the one that
I mean, the connection edges are clean.
Michael,
It looks really good. Really, really good.
surprises you're expecting in the Oscars? What's sort of the most likely upset?
Well, definitely the closest race is Best Supporting Actor. Christoph Waltz in Django Unchained is really
Coming right
neck
up.
and neck with Tommy Lee Jones and Lincoln. And, that one at this point is too close to call, but we're really looking
Quick
forward
removal.
to seeing how that
Still
pans
got
out
it.
Sunday night.
And Michael, one last question. I know you're applying this data science and these models that you use to other industries. What other kind of industries does this work for?
Absolutely. We do a lot of work in the retail sector, healthcare, private equity, as well as advocacy. But we're really interested in applying these tools to the media and entertainment industry as well.
All right. Well, we'll see on Sunday if you guys are right. Michael Gold, CEO of Farsight Forecast. Thanks so much for joining us today from LA.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well,
Now we're going to clean the tip. We get one side. I'm going to clean this tip, this iron. Get this tip really clean because it gets really dirty after all that soldering and all that dirt of those few sets of pins. You get all this black residue on your iron, and you definitely don't want that because you use black residue to solder other areas. You're just messing it all up. You're creating goo, and once that goo gets in there, it's hard to remove. So the key thing is to make sure you got a clean soldering tip and you're at the right temperature. You got to have the right tools to do the right job. Alright, that puppy there is nice and clean. Get this out of the way. Alrighty, there we go. And it sucks right up. Trying to break this joint out. One joint is hard, but we got it. Oh.
Welcome back. I'm Emily Chang. Facebook's director of product, Blake Ross, is leaving the company. Ross came to the social network 6 years ago after Facebook bought his company Parakeet in its first ever acquisition. Ross is also the co-creator of Firefox. Over the years, he worked his way up from engineer to product director. In a Facebook post, he says it's time to do new things. Well, daily deals site Living Social has lost 3/4 of its value in just over a year. The company is now worth about $1.5 billion, down from almost $6 billion in December of 2011. This is Living Social received a $110 million cash infusion from investors this week. So, what's the deal with the Daily Deal company and other startup valuations? Back again with our Bloomberg contributing editor, Paul Kudrowski, former equity analyst at early stage venture investor. So, Paul, I mean, you've always been skeptical about Daily Deals and Living Social, especially, but losing 75% of its value in so short a time, what's going on?
There's this company, you may have heard of it, Groupon, and they're publicly traded. So the problem, of course, is they now have a public, and they've had a public comparable now for the better part of a year and change. And as a result, you can no longer sort of mark the price of this as a private market investor and say, this is roughly what we think it is, and we'll wait and see to the IPO and see what public investors think. You now have to compare it to what's happening at Groupon, and Groupon's had a very, very rough ride as a public market investor. These investments in particular in Daily Deals have turned out to be huge cash consumers. I mean, I was just looking at the numbers. Living Social's now had in excess of $900 million in on a $1.5 billion valuation. So you're trading at a premium to cash, but that's not the way you typically think of private market companies they're now at a Series G. So they've now gone through, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G as rounds of financing. At this point, you would not expect to probably be trading, at a modest premium to the cash that's gone in. And this is all an indictment of the fundamental business model, which, as it turns out, doesn't work very well in terms of being a way of bringing new customers into a business.
All right, folks. It looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pins out of the 14 removed. And this is silver solder, so that was pretty good. That was really, really, really good, the way how that solder comes right off. Still got 4 more pins to go. I'm going to go ahead and remove these 4 more pins. And then when we get back, the transformer will be out, and we'll go ahead and remove the bad shorted transistors and get this power supply back going and bring it back to the customer.
Some other way of driving customer acquisition or analyzing customer acquisition. The fundamental problem is
Alrighty.
the promise they're making to the merchants that are using them.
This is the pins.
Upfront customer acquisition cost, the discount that you offer,
removed.
your massage parlor, whatever the case may be, you'll make it up over 10 and 20
all gone.
uses by that same.
Just got a few more right here. So when I get back, the transformer will be out, like I said, and we'll remove these guys. This is where the short is right here. This is the bad section of the power supply. This circuit right here.
This is not a standalone business. It's a business that needs to be combined with some other kind
These
of
guys.
business, like Amazon's My Habit business or the Outlook business.
Alrighty, so
the other sort of transactional
take a short break and we'll be right back.
Business, it just doesn't work. It's not even as effective as the old coupon is.